From every strand on the line of your reel, to the rods, to the anglers, to the lures on the end of your hook, let's talk about those big bass here on Co-Angler's Corner with your hosts, Rob Welch and John Stoulinger.
Good evening, everybody. I'm John.
Hi, y'all are. Cage Rob here hanging out with you on a cold night in Kentucky.
It's not too bad here in New York. It's 23.
How are you 13 degrees warmer than I am right now?
How do you have 6 more inches of snow than I do?
Good answer. Good answer.
All right. Tonight we have a late addition to the show. David Archibald. He's going to be talking about co-anglers tonight. Some of the advantages, some of the negatives. And we'll just let him take off from here. Hello, sir.
How's it going?
Doing all right, man.
I'm nice and warm.
Down south has been colder all winter. Colder, more snowier, everything. I saw you guys a little intro there, and yeah, it's definitely been colder down there.
Yeah,
I still think it's cold up here.
It was 8 degrees this morning. I went to work, and that's without windshield.
Yeah. I mean, it's cold. Like the wind chill, like it's been in the teens during the day, but you guys have really been getting hit harder with all that stuff.
Oh, absolutely, man. It's been crazy. I don't know. We've had mild winters last 2-3 years. Now we're paying for it.
Yeah, so am I.
Yeah. Hey, I'm waiting for your tack cat to come across the board again, across your wall there.
Oh, one of them. Well, the other on that last podcast, I actually had one in my lap too.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good stuff.
Yep. All right. So where do you want to start this, Dave?
Well, it's, one thing that hasn't been covered on the show is, especially since, in the last season and a half, there's been a lot of changes when it comes to, co-anglers. First was ABA this past season, ditching the co-angler program. And then this year, the Bass Opens. And you look on Facebook, the negativity, it's like, what some of the boaters think about co-anglers and vice versa. And, you're seeing co-anglers like, I don't even think I'm going to do this anymore. And it's like, it's been a lot of negativity, but, it really comes down to an individual. There's still a lot of benefits to being a co-angler. I mean, and that's kind of what I want to talk about is kind of like where we got here,
Right.
And you guys can chime in anytime, but, being a co-angler is extremely difficult, in today's world of forward-facing sonar and all that. And I don't care how good of an angler you are, there are certain forward-facing sonar situations that is going to completely work against you, and you're not going to be able to catch fish, especially if you're not fishing around cover. And that's just the reality of it. You hear people like, oh, I can catch it no matter what. They're full of it. I mean, there's a few of us out there that, fish on the Toyota series and or the Opens that can do well in a lot of different situations. But there is those few situations that you got to be the luckiest man on earth. And if you are, you played a lottery that night, but yeah, the forward-facing sonar really hurt a lot of things. As far as the other stuff, like people complain about being backbowed and all that, I may have experienced that a little bit and all that, but not to where it make or breaks anything, so I really don't listen to those arguments or anything like that. The forward-facing sonar has been the true argument, and, it's changed rules and, going into this year for the tournaments that still have co-anglers and all that. So my son's about to come in here with a speaker.
All right.
He's got a microphone and speaker. He's like,
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it was, being a last minute switch up for the show.
Yeah.
Everyone's a little crazy here, but yeah, so, that's how we got here. with the forward facing sonar, and then all the arguments back and forth and all that. And you got so many people just negative, but there are reasons to do this. And it comes down to who you are, what you want to do, what your goals are, and all that stuff. A lot of the reasons why people are co-anglers is just they can't afford to be a boater. They may be great anglers. I mean, there's local anglers around here that are phenomenal, but they can't afford to jump into an Open or a Toyota Series as a boater, just because of the expenses, not to mention the other expenses besides the entry fee, so, that's why some people are a co-angler, just because of expenses, and then you got other people that do want to learn from anglers that maybe aren't that good at anglers, and just being on a boat with, a seasoned pro, is going to help. Myself, my reason for being a co-angler, one, financial, that's probably the biggest, but it's also what my long-term goal is. My long-term goal is to compete in all these major tournament lakes around the country. And there's no way that I'm going to effective in what I call a suitable amount of time where I'm going to be able to do that unless I get a lot of exposure, in these different regions that are not local to me, So my biggest goal in being a co-angler was to learn all these lakes. And some of the pros that are out there right now will tell you that's what they did as well. And you learn these lakes, and if you do it right, like me, I pre-fish with somebody every tournament. I'm down at a tournament for a week. And what I'm paying attention to is how they're breaking down a lake. And then I'm also putting my own spin. How am I breaking down a lake? And like my practice partner, we actually work, a lot of times we work together with some things. And you get to try different things, and you're basically helping the boater break down the lake with them. And that's great experience for when I do this on my own. And so that's the biggest thing. And, and then there's some people that don't want to do that, but they want to compete, they want to just be around it. And that is still there. Like, again, I get people ask me a lot, of some of the negative stuff. Like, oh, the BFLs only have a 3-fish limit. Yeah, it stinks. I don't like it. I think it's like, it's not as competitive that way, and it's the luck of the ounce, and it's not appetizing for me, someone who's very highly competitive and basically goes out there to win, so it's not as appetizing to me, but still doesn't mean it's not appetizing to other people. I mean, the experience you get, if you're a great angler, if you're a better angler than your boater, you're exposed to other stuff. Yeah. You're exposed to different equipment you may not have seen, different boats. If we talked off air about, if you're thinking about buying a boat, you get all this exposure on all these different boats, and you get a feel what you like and what you don't like and what works for you. And, there's so many benefits. And I just, kind of dabbled on a couple, and then I can get more in depth on that. I see Andrew has a question here.
Yeah, let us hit a couple comments here.
Yep.
Yeah. Small Water Charter says, hello, good evening, guys.
Hello.
How's it going, man? And
then we have Andrew. Small Water says it's 58 down here and he's freezing.
No comment.
I understand that. Andrew Pulliam says, hey guys. And about the forward facing sonar in Florida, we can fish around that, even offshore. It doesn't handicap you, but I do see how it can hurt in a northern fishery.
Yeah. I mean, and he's right. I mean, like I'm going down to Okeechobee in a couple of weeks, and forward facing sonar is not as much as a handicap, however, but if you're fishing with someone who's still relying on it, like he's moving, he may be moving that boat around too fast, and it's going to hamper you, which I've experienced on Okeechobee. Is where in situations like last year, you had to fish slower than slow, and I wanted to cut my boater's legs off because he was looking around that forward face sonar and moving the trolling motor, and that was not the way to fish, and it's if especially some of these younger anglers, boaters, they live and die by forward facing sonar, and they don't know how not to in a way, so that can hamper a co-angler. But again, down in Florida, you can still work around that. You can cast up 45 degrees and work your bait slower for a little bit if the guy's putting around, searching for fish or whatnot. And that's kind of why, and I'm going to get into this, like how you can, the portion of this show is like how you can make being a co-angler benefit for you. And for me, fishing Florida events is a benefit for me. I'll talk about cherry picking a little later, but
these young guys, they've been drinking energy drinks, and they're just all over the place.
Crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I've been one that does that, and it was like, man, I'm about dizzy.
Yeah. Andrew says he's a boater now and doesn't have FFS. He goes, I can still compete with the guys that do. Again, I think Florida's a little different when it comes to FFS.
Oh, he is correct. Absolutely. And I think it's another Florida pro down there, Mikey Kiso, who won Harris Chain last year when I was down there. And I think he just put forward facing sonar on his boat in this off season, but he's a phenomenal angler, and a lot of phenomenal anglers can still compete. It just, once you get into other types of waters, that's where it could work against you. It's like, I got forward facing sonar on my boat, but I'm not going to live and die by it. I still think, in certain situations you can have your advantage.
I got one question on the forward facing. If you have real dirty or muddy water, is it still effective, or it's a little more cloudy, or how's that work when you got dirty, muddy, coffee type water?
Oh, it's still very effective. It definitely is very effective, especially, even muddy waters and looking at brush piles and all that, you're still going to be able to see the fish. It doesn't fog it out or anything like that.
Okay, I got you. I was curious about that.
Yeah. Hey, James.
Hey, how's it going, James? Hope you're doing well, my friend.
Yeah, Tony Mims says, no co in the open, so I'm heading back to the BFL. The Toyota schedule does not work for me this year.
Go ahead, John. I know you're going to say something.
I agree. I was all set to do the opens, and when the schedule came out, and they just sat, I'm like, okay, that's a pretty neat schedule. And then they decided that, a month later, we're not going to have co's. So I'm like, well, guess that solved that one, huh? I'm doing the Toyota.
Clear your schedule.
Oh, same thing happened to me. I had decided to fish that's my daughter. I had decided to go to Chesapeake Bay for the first open, one of the opens there, and I'm like, I'm gonna sign up tomorrow. And the next day, I'm driving around and so I get text, haven't you heard? And I'm like, oh my god, they canned co-anglers. I'm like, I guess I'm not doing that. But one thing, I forget the guy's name that just mentioned that, but he said he's going back to the BFLs.
Yes.
The one thing that the BFLs,
Troy,
exactly, Troy. The one thing that the BFLs have is a route to advancement still. And if you're fishing to be competitive and advance, the BFL is still a good option because you have the regionals and you have the All-American. I mean, All-American is one of the best tournaments in the country. It may not be the Classic or Red Crest or that, but it's still like one of the probably top 7 individual tournaments in the country, with the Toyota Series Championship, the, and some of the others out there.
I rank the All-American ahead of the Red Crest, as far as prestige. Yes.
Oh yeah. It's been around a long time.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, when you have accolades for that tournament, it holds water. I mean, when I was at the Toyota Series Championship, and we were having a dinner the night before the tournament, and like they were, talking about certain anglers, and a lot of these good anglers, a lot of them had that tournament under their belt, the All-American,
Yep. Absolutely. And I think another good thing about the BFLs, they're most of the time closer to home. You don't have to travel as far.
Unless you live where I live.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
My closest tournament is Champlain, which is 5 hours away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's the same with the Toyota Series. That's my closest tournament I'll ever have.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah, we just have small lakes in New England. There is not one tournament lake in New England. MLF big enough,
Yeah, that's like John had to drive down to Maryland to Potomac. I was like, that's a little far, ain't it?
Yeah,
but you know what? It's only another hour further than Champlain for me.
Wow.
Well, yeah. I mean, New York is longer than most people realize.
Oh yeah.
And where John lives, he can go across Champlain, or he can go right down. Really, it's almost like a straight line down to Potomac. I've actually made that trip. I think I did it from Messina, from the St. Lawrence River, and I made that trip down south, and it wasn't horrible. I got down there a lot faster than I expected.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I fished a super at St. Lawrence, and then I drove down and fished, and then started practicing at Potomac for the Toyota.
Nice. You may know this guy.
Oh yeah. Hey Jeremy, how you doing?
He's doing a snow dance probably about right now. Just saying, if I know Jeremy.
Yeah. Andrew says he won as a co-angler on Kiso's boat. Loves the guy.
Ah, nice.
Nice, man. Congrats.
I had a bad day when I was on a boat with him, but it was all my fault.
Oh man.
and Mikey was actually trying to help me out a little bit too. And he actually taught me something. He taught me a couple of frogging tips. And that was during the championships, actually. During the championships, He actually took time to help me out. And he was in second place at the time. And
that's a heck of a guy.
I mean, if I was in second place, I'd be like, don't talk to me. but no, Mikey is a great boater to have as a co-angler, without a doubt.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
And James says, hey guys, you all staying warm and still in shorts here?
No,
yeah.
Not over
if
here.
If we were born on the North Pole, we might have been, but
no, I'm gonna go back to that the forward-facing sonar.
Okay.
I'm probably in the minority here, but I don't mind the forward-facing sonar because 90% of the guys who use it are around fish.
Okay.
If you don't have it, most of the guys can't read the graph good enough to tell if there's fish there or not.
So you got a point there. Now, I will say there is a difference depending on who the angler is. Okay. So if you're with, and I'll use Champlain as a good example. When you're with like the true pros, like Drew, get on a boat with someone like Drew Gill and all that.
Yeah.
They're using a forward-facing sonar to chase those larger suspended fish. So they're staying away from structure, where other people, like less experienced guys, will be around fish, but they'll also be around some structure. And that gives you the opportunity. I can still catch a 5 fish limit under those situations. But if you're with someone like Drew Gill, And he'll tell you right when you get on the boat, I'm sorry. You know, he's like, I'm sorry you drew me. He that's the first thing he said to me. And it's you know, he's just being honest, you know. And I was with Federer last time, and I mean, I'm with like been with some my luck on day 2 at Champlain. I always hit like one of the top forward facing sonar pros that just do it a different way that you really can operate. But if you're with, you know, your average run-of-the-mill boater that uses forward-facing sonar, that generally will work out for you because they are around fish. They're fishing rock piles, they're fishing dips, they're fishing flats, and fishing structure. And you have generally the fishing slower too. And you will have that opportunity. It's when you get to those elite level guys with a forward-facing sonar, that's where it becomes mission impossible.
Yeah, I fished with TJ Dobbs. He's a guide in New York. Great guy, on St. Lawrence.
Yeah.
And the 2-day a couple of years ago, and he was throwing a rig chasing fish. Okay.
Yeah.
And that makes it difficult for a co-angler.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know, I just, you know, pretty much kept my head to the grindstone, and I ended up having, I think I had 3 fish at the time of our accident. Yeah, 3 fish at the time of our accident. So, I mean, this is a guy who knows the lake real well, or river real well.
Yeah.
Been guiding on it for 20 something years. And, you know, chasing smallmouth in the river is not the most fun thing to do as a co-angler.
No.
So was he in the smaller areas?
Some.
Yeah. A little tip for you. When you're in a situation like that, throw a smoke compact spinnerbait in those smaller, shallower areas of the river.
Yeah.
If someone's doing that, I actually did. It's like a life. Oh my God, I got a limit now because I was in a similar situation. Yeah, a lot of people don't think of throwing a spinnerbait for smallmouth there, but it can be very effective on certain times.
Most of the time we were fishing 30.
And I just use a trail. I use no trailer and just a trailer hook. That's it.
Good deal. Yeah, that's going to be back around. It's kind of, you know, chatterbait was on top. Now it's kind of the spinnerbait's coming back up again. So, and I love spinnerbaits. So that's my favorite.
You know, I don't mean to change the subject, but you know, it's been stuck in my head all day.
What was that?
A jitterbug. A jitterbug.
Oh,
I mean, we all use walk the dog baits and all that. We, you know, use the whopper ploppers, all that, but don't really have a bait out there that anyone's using that gives that same splashing, walking action of a jitterbug. And
night fishermen still do.
Yeah. But I plan on seeing how well it does this year. I haven't thrown one in 20 years.
Wow.
But
you may be the only one throwing it.
Some baits come back around, you know, and it's been on my mind for a while, and now I'm gonna be trying it this year. Some people are gonna look at me like, okay, who's this guy? But I'm like, if it starts catching fish, I'm gonna be like, see.
I told you so. I told you so.
Are you gonna Carolina rig that?
Oh yeah, sure. Just like I do Carolina rigging my spooks.
There you go.
Hey, Max Farlaw used to Carolina rig floating Rapalas and floating Rebels back in the day and wear me out. He would wear me out. Craziest thing, but it caught him.
Let's hit a couple of these comments.
All right. Yeah. Here's a good one from Mr. May.
How did Sidepack come about? I can't remember. Luke go ahead. Yeah,
I think Luke, he was seeing, you know, the low payouts getting lower and lower, and he started out small and just kept growing. Now he's in elites. He's offering in elites, which is perfect, you know, with all that going on.
Well, with a no entry fee, that's going to be a big deal on the elites, I think.
Yeah, and I mean he pays out almost everything. I mean he keeps very, very little, and I say I like it because some of the contingencies. Used to you get at the end of the season, or if you'd be lucky if you get it by December. Man, Monday morning he's got checking the mail, and I've got a few of them, and Wednesday it's in my mailbox.
Yeah, there's times like, and I like that you can sign up for it like the day before the tournament starts. Is like because you're having a real bad practice, like I don't know if I want to drop the money, but I screwed myself last year. I intended to do it for Okeechobee last year, and I forgot. And I'm out in a boat, and I'm like, I had 16 pounds already. I'm like, I forgot to do side pot. I would have won side pot at Okeechobee last year.
I won it at the I think the regional at Eufaula, and I was like 77th. I zeroed day one, caught a decent limit on day two, and I'll never forget. No, I got side pot 77th from one of my buddies. Hey man, congrats! I'm like, on what? And he said, you won side pot. I'm like, you're kidding. So, you never know.
There was a lot of people on the Okeechobee one too. I would have done really well on that one.
Oh man, you can sign up right before they take off. I mean, take off at 7. You can register at 6:55. I mean, I've known people done it, and I have to remind some people. Sometimes I won't mention any names. Yeah, me too. Oh man, but it is good, man. I mean, y'all. I mean, it's no membership fee or nothing. You pay per tournament. You pick what tournament you want. So it's a good deal. I've gotten fortunate. I won three or four of them. So I've gotten lucky.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting for my check. I haven't qualified yet.
You got to catch some fish, and you got to sign up. I'll be signing up for Okeechobee.
There you go, man.
Sure. Do you need a reminder?
I'm going to put it in my calendar, actually.
Oh, yeah. Like my dad said, if you don't sign up, you're leaving money on the table.
At 10 p.m. Wednesday night, it's going to be a reminder that pops up.
Yeah, put a reminder on your phone. That's what I do. Oh, yeah. Oh, there you go. There you go, man.
Let's get to Troy. I think Troy has another comment here.
Bring it.
He has FFS on his kayak.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw that. I'm jealous.
This is Troy saying this. I have FFS on my kayak. I also like to fish behind the boater live scoping, especially on a spotted bass lake.
Interesting.
That kind of makes sense. I mean, if generally when you're fishing for spotted bass, you're not just in a dead area of a lake or cut or anything like that. You generally, you're closer to shore. You get a lot of things to work with, and if you guy in forward facing, and spotted bass, a lot of times too, depending on time of year, they'll group up too.
Oh yeah.
So I can see, on this spotted bass lake, like I'm thinking, like say, like Dale Hollow, is a good spotted bass lake, or even parts of, in certain times of the year around Gunnersville too, especially if you fish around the drop-offs around the bridges and all that, you get a lot of good spotted bass. And if someone's forward-facing sonar spotting that, they're around. So yeah, you're going to be able to catch fish, even if you just like, twitching a minnow, off the bank and stuff like that. So yeah, I can see, I mean, he makes a good point. Spotted bass lake, that the forward-facing sonar is not going to hamper you as much. Where it really hampers you is these deep, clear water smallmouth lakes. That's really where it hurts you. And that, where these tournaments, on the Toyota series, that's generally what you're dealing with a lot. Except in Florida,
like Northeast.
I mean,
Champlain,
Champlain and St. Lawrence River. St. Lawrence River, I actually, it didn't bother me as much as it does now on a forward-facing sonar, because just the way people have learned to fish it differently. But those two lakes is like, you can be with a guy that catches 54 pounders and you not catch anything on St. Lawrence River now, and just the way it is,
It basically comes down if he's a dick or not.
Yeah,
that too. But but again, there's still benefits. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Got it. And then another thing is you can watch on the forward face and how they react to lures, and you can change colors, especially in practice. I mean, I think it's key to getting something patterned down. So, got a few more comments we'll run through.
Yep. James Minold says, I don't mind FFS. I'm with you on there's some tricks you can do with the FFS. And have beat as a few of his boaters with some tricks.
Oh yeah,
and I was actually going to talk about some of that stuff too, because I do the exact same thing. Sometimes, especially if you got on a forward face of sonar getting frustrated, you can really capitalize, and I have capitalized doing that as well. And also just learning the body language of your boater. Like that's what I do. Is like when I get on the boat, I'm breaking down my boater. He's getting like a psyche valve, everything.
see where he's throwing, see where he's not throwing. Yeah.
I watch where he flinches too. Like he'll flinch. That fish may not be big enough, and I'm like, I'll go cast over there. Once he goes up a little bit more.
Right for that tree right there.
Yeah.
John Adams says, good evening, guys. Good evening, John.
Hey, John.
Hey, how's it going, John?
He also says, Daniel says, what's up, guys, from Texas. He's enjoying the snow.
Glad you watching, man.
Daniel, how much snow do you have?
2 feet.
I wonder if he has more snow than I do.
They got a lot of ice.
Yeah.
John Adams says,
south of San Antonio, they're in a drought. They got their lake shut down. It's so low, like the ramps are like out of the water, like 4 or 5 foot. So a lot of the lakes south of San Antonio is shut down right now.
There's not that many lakes south of San Antonio.
No, not many, but it's a few.
Yeah. If you're fishing or if you're with a fisherman fishing in open water, chasing fish, he fishes a jerkbait, a rig, and a spoon.
Yep.
So I agree. Yep. If he's fishing slow enough.
Yeah.
And that's a trick. Again, depends on the experience level of these guys. If you're with an elite pro, you're probably not going to have those opportunities. But if you're with someone who's not as seasoned, generally you're going to be fishing slower. So you have a lot more that you can use. And especially too, it's like open water, especially around channel markers and all that. Like the jerkbait. Yeah. You cast right over to one and just jerk right past that channel marker. And, you have the opportunity to catch a fish as long as the boat is not going too fast. It's like, or even with an A rig and all that, spoon, if you're dealing with like open water ledge fishing, you get a heavy enough spoon, or like on, down, if you're down on like Chickamauga or something during the ledge season, if you go heavier weight, you can do well doing that.
I've done well, like you saying, like if a boater's going fast, it's kind of tough, but I'll take a scrounger head, like a 1/4, 3/8, and man, I burn it. I had a smallmouth. My boater's watching it. He come up, the smallmouth comes straight up from like 30, 40 foot, come straight up and got it. And he says, man, I don't want to say nothing because they didn't want you to slow down or, mess up. Yeah. So, well, that's amazing. But he said, man, that fish went straight up after and I was burning it. I was burning it pretty good. So
there's a lot of factors. That's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I'm blind. it's showing us though. And I scrolled back up and he's right.
Hey, Daniel, even funnier. I got a lot more snow than John and them's got, so go figure. Yeah. So it is what it is.
We'll hit this last comment real quick. Yep. Our boy Joe says, I like keeping co-anglers up on the front deck with me. Some of them, you got to keep your eyes on them. Can't trust them with a shit house with a muzzle on. Some even have a podcast. Is he talking about RB? Is he talking about RB?
I think he's talking about us.
Yeah. Joe's a trip, man. He's a good people, though. He's a trip.
Yeah,
that's so fun. That's a funny story talking about. He said so he wants to keep the co-anglers on the front deck with him. I had a boater at Potomac Toyota Series, and it was a funny story. And this guy should not have been a boater in a Toyota series, but we got to our first spot, and right away he's like, I know you're a lot more experienced than me, so if you want to run the trolling motor, feel free. And I'm like, we get disqualified if I do that.
Wow.
And I'm like, as much as I wanted to, I was like, yeah, that's an automatic disqualification.
Here's a question for you. Okay. It involves co-angling. During practice, co-anglers can fish from the front deck.
Yes.
However, in the rules, it says you must go by the tournament rules for that during official practice. Now, if you look at it,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I really don't. There's no like Bass Opens. They had an official time practice, but MLF doesn't have an official practice,
right?
For BFLs or Toyota series or whatnot. So when I'm practicing, sometimes I'm up front, sometimes I'm running the trolling motor if my partner is rigging up some stuff and all that, and I'm still breaking it down and all that. But I kind of like to practice how I'm going to fish in a tournament, though. Yeah. I actually stick on the back of the boat, even if my buddy says come up front with me. It's like I actually like to be in the back of the boat because there's more muscle memory of those 45-degree casts and all that stuff. It's just like, I just rather do that. But when he's sitting down doing so, I go right up and I run the trolling motor and all that, and I'm doing my thing as if I was a boater. But there are, like, up until this year with the Opens, you have to, if there is an actual official practice, and you would have to follow the rules in that circumstance.
However, when I talked to the tournament director, they said, no, you can practice on the front deck.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to complain about it. It's like, once the tournament starts, like, co-angler has no control anyway, so it really doesn't matter.
No.
I was just curious.
Yeah, or the wind's blowing 40 miles an hour and your partner has to take care of nature and you're trying to keep the boat out of the rocks or out of the docks.
Yeah, well, that comes down to under the safety clause.
Safety.
If the safety issue, a co-angler is allowed to be on the front of the boat, but only for like those type of reasons.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Within reason. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Common sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking about the All-American.
Yep, Ashley Klaus. Hey, y'all. She'll be, I think, April 21st.
Yep, and she's making the big jump into the boater world. So good luck. Hats off to you, girl. You go get them.
Go kill it.
Yep.
And if you need to know how to get an alligator, she'll help you there too.
Yeah. Maybe she can teach Bark and Rugers a thing or two.
I hooked into one at Okeechobee.
Oh, heck. What'd you do?
That was a very short fight. Snap.
Hey, I had one with Toho. I thought it was a log, so I flipped my ounce weight on it, hit it in the head, and that thing almost walked across water.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It scared me bad as it scared that gator, I think. He's just a little guy, but still.
We also got James Minold coming up here in the near future.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we can get some of those tricks he's talking about.
Oh, yeah. He's got a bag of them. I know that.
Yeah, so
next week, actually.
Do we have any more comments or anything right now?
No, we're caught up with comments, man. Go ahead.
All right. So like, I don't want to run out of time. Kind of one thing I really want to talk about is how to make being a co-angler work for you now. Put all the negativity aside and all that. How is it going to work for you? The one thing that you have the opportunity to do, and I always like to use MLF as a tournament series that offers advancement for co-anglers. So there are tournaments out there, preferably MLF with the Phoenix series and the Toyota series where you have advancement. So it's still appetizing from a competitive advancement state. Again, depending on the level you're at and what your goals are, there's ways to benefit you. If you're young, just learning and all that, be a co-angler, even if you're stuck with someone forward facing sonar, because you're gonna learn something, like what they're looking at, watch how they look at electronics, like study the boater. If you're not going to be competitive, jump on these BFLs. It's $120 or whatever it is, and you're gonna get those type of experiences. If you want to see, not only do you get the experiences, you check out the equipment, you see their patterns, like, okay, why did he pick up the chatterbait and all that? And if your boat is like really sociable and all that, a lot of these guys will answer a question that you ask. It's like, hey, I saw you were using this, then you switched over and then you threw that crankbait. Can I ask why you did that? And a lot of the guys are really cool, especially at the BFL level. They're not these like, snobby pro, guys that you're afraid to talk to. And honestly, most of the pros are not snobby. I'm just there are those examples out there, but you can, if you're not competitive, there's still a lot of advantages from seeing how people fish, the equipment. If you're someday looking to buy a boat, how people use their electronics and whatnot. And then, you get someone like me who's highly competitive. I am, slowly working to the boater side of things. And my son's coming again.
That's okay.
and learn how to run the lake. You learn how to run the lake.
Well, that's the thing with me is like, because I want to be a boater for all these lakes, I'm learning the lakes.
Yeah,
I'm learning the lakes, and when I was here, we did this. What other areas of the lakes are like this? So I start matching parts of the lake. It's like right now, I'll be honest with you. If I was a boater on Gunnersville, which is 20 hours away from me, I'd feel pretty good. I've fished it enough. I practice too. That's a benefit thing I do too. A lot of these co-anglers, they go to a tournament and they don't jump on a boat for before a tournament. You got to get yourself on a boat and to see how it gets broken down. That's how you're going to learn. That's what a co-angler has been doing for me. It's helping me learn lakes. It's helping me learn how to break down different lakes. And, and of course, I've been paying attention to the boats I'm on to see what works for me, what's good in rough water, because I fish Champlain a lot, and
it gets rough there?
A little bit. But that was my whole reasoning for being a co-angler. One, financial, and two, I really wanted to kind of learn how to be a pro, and there's no better way to do it while being competitive, and I've been competitive in these tournaments, because I'm still psychotic when it comes to competition, and just I'll probably, die competing in something when I'm 100, but
basket weaving.
I'm using it to my advantage for certain goals. And depending what your goals are, anyone can do that as a co-angler. Yeah, it's not always going to be pretty, but you got to take even on a day there's a good as a co-angler, for most of them. Me, it's hard for me to, I say that, but then I'll have a bad day and I'll just be all rip shit, because it just, it's just situational. But, I think it's an opportunity now too. Now you got people like, that fish the opens, that they, that's a high level event. The only other option now is the MLF Toyota series, which still gives you a 5-fish limit, which makes it very competitive, which I like. You have advancement. That's one thing the Bass Opens didn't have. If you were like, top 25 at the end of a Bassmaster division or whatever, you got nothing for it. You don't even fish on day 3, and with the Toyota series, you have that. And, you have that high level of competition. So all these guys in the open are going to want it. Like there's a big waiting list for Okeechobee right now. And that's because all these open guys still want to fish as a co-angler, so there's, and there was another reason why I was going there, but it kind of left my brain. But I mean, it is still a play, a reason to fish as a co-angler. And at the Toyota Series too, another benefit that you don't get with any other tournament series is you can actually cherry pick tournaments in a Toyota Series. You don't necessarily have to fish a full division to make it to the championship. You can cherry pick 4 or more Toyota Series events and qualify through the wild card division. So it's not a separate tournament. It's just in the wild cards. Basically, whoever didn't make the top 25 in the different divisions, there's a wild card ranking after that, and that's your if you have 4 more Toyota Series events, and then it's basically a different division, and you can get into the championships through that. And that's how I, snuck in this past year. I thought I was out, and then I got the call. It's like, you're in. I'm like, okay. But then I hit my head and I had a concussion and I never went. And, but you can cherry pick, and that's kind of like what I'm doing. Yeah. So like I look at the schedule and I'm like, okay, you got the Southern Division. You got Okeechobee, Harris Chain, and Seminole, all co-angler friendly lakes. Then I looked at the Central. You got Chickamauga, Gunnersville late, which I don't really like the timing of Gunnersville. I forget what the other lake is. I don't know. Was it not Smith Lake? Not this year. Was it Kentucky Lake?
Kentucky or Pickwick? Let me double check. It was one or the other.
Pickwick. Okay. And Pickwick can be very tough, a very tough lake as a co-angler. And I was like, I'm not fishing any of those. And then so I'm going to do the 3 Southerns, and then my 4th tournament is Champlain, and in Champlain it's like, even though it's not necessarily a co-angler friendly lake, it can be, and I'm very good on Champlain. So if I get in the right situations, I feel really good on Champlain. But that is my 4th lake. But I'm also going to fish Potomac because that's very co-angler friendly as well. I'll just never miss Champlain. I don't care what's going on. I'm never missing Champlain. It's my favorite lake in the country. Where Okeechobee becoming my second favorite. But and then depending on how I'm doing, the Southern Division it's all done by April. So if I made it to the championships through the Southern Division, I probably won't do the St. Lawrence River. Depending on what's going on, I might try to beat up on some local tournaments and make a little money without a lot of overhead.
And talking about something, learning on the being a co-angler, you notice your boater what you should do and stuff you shouldn't do.
Oh my God! See, that's another thing. Being a co-angler, you get yourself a practice partner, things go wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. And my practice partner, I'm not gonna mention his name right now, but I've mentioned him in the past. But he breaks everything.
Yep.
And because of that, I know how to do so many things now. I've learned so much from being a practice partner in the Toyota Series because I experience all the bad things that happen. What happens when you lose power? What happens when your trolling motor breaks off the front of your boat? What happens when you spin a prop and you kill your lower unit? I know how to change a lower unit. I'm like, and before I even owned a bass boat. It's like, all these different things. And, I've learned so much just from the practicing side of it. And it's like, I really think co-anglers, if you're really trying to make something of this, you gotta be committed to the practice part of it, because you're going to learn a lot there. And you're going to learn a lot more during the practice with the goods and the bads that happen with practice than you would in the tournament day. And, so I really encourage that. Unless you're fishing a tournament that I'm fishing, I don't want you to put any extra homework in or anything like that. But, so that's like if you're really trying to make something out of being a co-angler, that's how to do it. Now, when our buddies here talked about tricks, how can you make it work for you being on the boat with forward facing sonar? Watch his body language.
Yeah.
Watch where he was thinking about casting. If he didn't cast, just wait a second, then cast over when the boat moves up a little bit. I'm always peeking at that forward facing sonar and seeing how much I'm seeing that suspended, how much I'm seeing down below, if I'm seeing structure, because a lot of times the graphs on the helm are shut off and you don't get to see that. If you're lucky and you see that and you at least got the 2D, then you can work around that. But really just kind of study how the boater is moving and how he's when he flinches and all that stuff. There's little things that you can take away when you're in a forward-facing sonar situation. So when you're a co-angler and you get on a boat and you realize someone's religiously going to be on that live scope, don't just give up. Don't give up. Break down this. Do the psychological analysis. I really do. I break it down, and I try. And a lot of times I'll be like, how many feet we're in? I always ask for information that I can't see. Like what's the depth? Are we over grass? Are we over rock? Don't be afraid to ask. There's nothing wrong with asking those questions. It's not like you're asking, hey, how should I fish this bait? You're not asking those questions. You're just asking what the layout is. And there's nothing wrong with asking those questions. And I hear co-anglers, say, I just go down and shut my mouth. I'm like, you're not helping yourself. No. It's like, just like in school, or anything. It's like, you're not gonna figure anything out unless you ask some pertinent questions. And, your boat is going to give you those pertinent answers, so, I know, and more so on the bass side, you hear, boaters say, you just there to learn and shut up and all that. That's a bass thing. I've come to find, because in MLF and other events, I have not experienced any of that, not at all. And
I haven't experienced that at all, no matter what I fished.
No, but I hear I hear that more on the bass side. But so a lot of these co-anglers out there that are kind of like on the fence if they should still do it and all that, if MLF's the only option now, and you got a lot of good guys on MLF, when it comes to co-anglers. And there's always been co-anglers and all that. So, don't let that discourage you. It's like, it's still there's still reasons to be a co-angler. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this topic, because it's just been so negative, and the negativity back and forth and all that. I'm like, just leave that alone. There are some limitations with forward facing sonar and all that, but there's still so many positive reasons to do this, and it's working out for me. I'm going to be fishing a couple of MLF, BFLs as a boater this year. I'm going to do some of the, individual opens on Champlain, but how I got there is by being a co-angler, learning how to break down these lakes. And especially some of these lakes, if you don't spend a lot of time on it, you go on a boater, it's like your chances of killing your lower unit are very high,
Oh yeah. And then talking about your boaters and the MFLF, I've had several that was forward facing say, hey, I'm catching them 6 to 10 or 8 to 12. They'll tell you, hey, I'm catching. And I didn't even ask. They said, hey, man, I'm catching them 6 to 10. And that helps a lot.
Yeah. Oh, it does. And like I said, I haven't had a bad, well, I have, but I've had a couple of bad boater experiences, but really was more because of real bad inexperience on their end. And, and I did situations where I knew better, but I wasn't in control, and I always, and in those situations, I even try to help, but overall, they all been good guys, regardless. Yeah. They've all been very nice. They hit me up after the tournament, or I hit them up. I'm pretty much have communicated with just about everyone I've ever been paired up with. and and I've roomed together in certain events and stuff like that. I mean, it's been great. Being a co-angler, as far as the interaction has been really good. Yeah, I've had bad days because of how the boater was fishing, but I never like left someone's boat and my God, that guy was a big dick. Like, I've never had that experience ever.
Yeah, and I've had I got paired up with the same guy like twice, and next year you're like, oh man, and it's a great feeling. Your boater says, oh man, I got you again. It's great. Oh man, and they're like thrilled. It's like, man.
Oh yeah,
and good.
And it's like I've pretty much hit it off with all my boaters too. So it's like, they all say like, oh, I hope I draw you again someday. I'm like, hey, me too. And it's like, and then you see some of these like real great guys that you had for a boater. Sometimes they can have a bad experience with a co-angler. I had one of the guys I had as a boater. He had a real bad experience on Potomac, and I was like, I mean, with this guy, I'm like, how? I mean, this boater is like really nice guy. Like, he's helpful, and I would love to be a co-angler with him again. Like, if I could draw him every time, I'd be happy. And I'm like, he had like the co-angler from hell. I'm like, that's just got to be a bad soul. It's like, I mean, and that's the thing. If you're a co-angler, be respectful. You don't have control. So it's not your boat. You don't have control. If you want to talk about something, talk about it. If it doesn't go your way, hey, it's not up to you. It's not up to you. You got to let it go. So
I always feel like a team tournament. I always like treat it like we're a team. So that helps a lot. It helps me a lot. Say, hey, I'm on a team tournament. So I do help my boater any way I can.
Well, that's my approach too. Like, when I get on the boat, I'm like, hey, just so you know, like, hey, glad to be on your boat today. My name's Dave. Hey, just so you know, I'm not an idiot. I know my way around the boat. If you need anything, I'm here to help. I'm good with the net. You don't have to worry about anything. Just let me know. It's like, we can work together, and that's usually a good icebreaker too. It's I always have a real good conversation the night before, and say, hey, this is kind of what I've experienced. I'm kind of what you experienced, and what just kind of get a feel. I really try to get a real solid feel of what my boat is going to do, and then I'll adjust from there. But I see I'm flies on the wall when I see different co-anglers or boaters have conversations with their co-angler or boater, and they're like, yep, see you tomorrow. I'm like, you got no information. And then they're going to go there with, all their light stuff, and they're flipping all day. It's just like, you can't be afraid to have the conversations. The more conversations, the more interactive you are, the more respectful you're going to have a good experience 99 times out of 100, regardless of a boater having forward facing sonar or not. Pickwick can definitely be the devil.
Yeah, I've heard several guys kind of say. But I mean, like I said, you learn so much with your boaters. I mean, I was on Del Hollow once. This young boater. I mean, he was a decent guy, but he's like, I was in the back just dragging a drop shot, and after I caught like the 4th or 5th, he finally said, "What are you doing back there?" And I told him. He says, "Can you show me?" I was like, "Yeah, man," and showed him, and I still run into him, and he's like, "Yep, I'm still drop shotting." So
happens all the time. Happens all the time with me.
Absolutely.
James says, "Watch the screen and lead them fish."
Yep,
absolutely.
Latanya says, "Yes, I'm a peeping and creeping on all their moves and their graphs."
She got the eyeglasses on, checking them out.
I am a back of the boat stalker.
You ain't put it.
Anything else, guys?
No, I kind of got the points across that I wanted to get across. Is because I just I just haven't seen anyone really bring it back to the positive, and there's still plenty of positives there, and I don't want people to be discouraged, and I always encourage people, anyone who's a co-angler or looking to be a co-angler or even a boater, you can always reach out to me. I'm at Dave Archibald Fishing on all the social media platforms. I'm always willing to help. Not going to give you all my secrets, but I'm always willing to help.
You put them in the right direction.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think, I don't know about you, man, but like when I go to a tournament and like next day it's going to be rainy and 35 degrees, I'm like, I'm getting paid, because they're going to be half the field show up and say, man, we shouldn't be here. It's too bad. I mean, they're negative they're negative the whole time. And I'm going out like, I'm going to catch fish and I'm going to get me a check. So it's a lot of a mental game. You know it, man. A lot of it's mental.
Mm-hmm. With anything, with any competitive sport, if you're not solid mentally, you will crumble. Yep. And my mental game throughout sports my whole life is what's put me over the top.
Absolutely, man. No doubt. I mean, like you said, respect your boater. I always try to give them, if I'm in the truck backing down, or we're both in the truck waiting in line, I'll give them money right then. Or, when we first get on the boat. Early. Yeah, and that gets a good foot, and it shows respect to your boater. And I've had some, refuse it, or no, just give me 20. We're going to do a short run. But the point is, make that offer.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it shows them the respect, and whatever they want to do is whatever they want to do. So but it gets off on the right foot, like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then after a tournament, I always ask my boater, "Hey, you want me to help wipe down your boat?" He's like, "No, I got it." But just offer. I mean, just offer, help, and it goes a long, long way.
Absolutely,
100%. All right. Well, we're gonna cut this one out, and
But great points, David. I appreciate you sharing, man.
I mean,
you're spot on, man. You're spot on. There's so much negativity. Stay on positive, man.
I really felt it was needed. It was like I really felt it was needed, and like I just don't want to see this big division in this fishing community, which is such a great community too. It's not needed. I mean, a lot of people do this because of the community, and if it gets negative, people are just going to say, well, I'm going to disappear. That's what's going to happen.
Yep.
Good night, everybody. James.
See you, James.
Thank you, James.
All right. Our next show is Saturday with Kevin McGibney, our sponsorship Saturday with K&K Customs. He's going to talk about what it is to sponsor somebody. So,
on the other side.
Yeah.
I want to hear how it is to sponsor Dave Archibald, if he hasn't thought about that yet.
Just a small hint.
Now, my question is, have you reached out to him?
I haven't, no, but I've been spying on him, and he's got a good operation for sure. Yeah. He really does have a good operation.
And I want to ask him how many kayaks has he set up for Live Scope yet too. So that's my question, because I'm going to get there one of these days.
Yeah, I do that a lot too. Like I spy on a lot of companies for a long period of time, because I don't look to be sponsored just by anyone. I really got to be 100. I need to feel I can 100% back them 100%. So I do a lot of snooping.
That's part of the game, man. Part of the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, we're going to end this here in a second. So everybody take care. Be safe. If you're fishing, wear your life vest, especially if you're in north.
Yep. And we've heard too many bad stories in the last year.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Hey, thanks, David.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, too, man. See you.
Bye.
All right.
Woohoo.
Ooh, man, it's got a lot of good points. He's right. There's like way too much negativity right now. So spot on, David.
Yeah. Thank you, Dave. We appreciate that. And we both agree with you.
Absolutely. 110%.
Got to turn it to positive. So.
Absolutely.
All right. Anything else you want to say?
No, I'm going to send some. You ain't got enough snow. I'm going to send up some your way. I got too much.
Send it by FedEx.
It'll never get there. It'll definitely melt. It'll definitely melt.
All right, guys. We appreciate you tuning in. Have a good night. Be safe. And we'll see you hopefully Saturday.
Definitely. And thank you all for tuning in and sharing and liking. And peace out.
you.